Hi, it's Dr. Dina Churchill, innovator in health and wellness. And I have a short video for you this evening, just with 2 calls of action. So I hope I'm alive and you can hear me okay. I'm undercover. You know, I've got my dark glasses on and my hat just as part of the witness protection program. But the 2 quick calls of action would be one, to go to through my Facebook page and copy down any links, any resources, any pictures that you would like, and save them. You know, what we're finding is censorship is very real, and I've had 2 friends just today, this week, Aaron at Health Nut News, and also Larry Cook with the largest group of vaccine-informed parents. Larry got shut down from his live Facebook, and Erin, I think, lost one of her Facebook pages. So with the kind of content that I'm posting, you know, I could disappear anytime soon. So if you wanted to have this opportunity to go down and look at my page, again, pick up anything that you find useful. You could also join me at my blog, which is healthtruth.blog. Healthtruth.blog. I do have another Facebook page, Dr. Dina, Innovator in Health and Wellness. You can join me there, but healthtruth.blog. If you send me a message, then I can have your email and I add you as part of my database. So just in case you lose me here, you'll have kind of a record of sort of knowing where to find me and to keep up with the information. I'd also ask you to subscribe to our national database, which is the Vaccine Choice Canada, and also the Children's Health Defense. Children's Health Defense with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. It's so wild looking at myself with these glasses on and the hat that it's distracting. So I Can Decide with Del Bigtree. We have Children's Health Defense with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We have the Vaccine Choice Canada, and you can just sign up for their newsletter and that will give you all the updates. No cost, no fuss. But if the Facebook pages go down, as I mentioned in a previous video, if you type in Vaccine Choice Canada into your Facebook browser, it brings you to the CDC website or the World Health Organization website, and you won't be able to find them. So sign up to their newsletter. They're kind of our national body that's coordinating vaccine-informed parents and gives you lots of resources and information. And then Larry Cook has a Facebook page and also a website, Patriot website, so you can look up Larry Cook. Have I forgotten anyone? Thanks for watching. Janice, Chandra, Mary Claude. But those would be the big ones, I think. I don't think I've left anyone out. So healthtruth.blog is for me, Vaccine Choice Canada, I Can Decide with Del Bigtree, the High Wire, Children's Health Defense with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and then there's lots of great YouTube videos out there. I mentioned London Real with Barry Rose. He has kind of gone out on his own and, you know, is willing to kind of put these great voices like David Icke and also Dr. Boutard, you know, forward. So we are counteracting the censorship, but again, Facebook is going through a rough time right now, so I just wanted to make sure you have those references. The other thing is to take the information and do something with it, right? Share it with your family, with your friends, share it with your MLA, your Member of Legislative Assembly, share it with your MP, your Member of Parliament, share it with the media. So what I'd like to do is go down over my page and just show you some of the posts from the last few days and maybe give you some inspiration kind of to do this. So if there's any questions, you can ask, and let me just get my computer set up here. I just want to thank all you Facebook friends. If I do happen to lose you kind of here in this platform, you know, it's really great. We're working as a team, everybody together, and I get information sent to me, and you know, this is how I keep up with everything, is because of you. So let me see if I can take off my mystery mask here. Hold on. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to see if I can turn it around maybe. Okay. So this is the Facebook page. So the first thing I want to mention to you is something that's happening right now in New Brunswick. And this is a post that Let's see, Tara Lynn had connected with me just a moment ago, and this was happening in New Brunswick. So there's a protest happening about two different bills that are put forward. I think it's just Bill 11 right now, in which kids will have non-exemptions removed, non-medical exemptions, so they will have to have vaccines in order to go to school, to public school. So there's a few here in New Brunswick, a few people here. Look at these protesters all out protesting, but they need your help. You know, these are just a few parents. And most of these are parents of vaccine-injured children that are really out there trying to spread the word. And they're, you know, giving you the benefit of their protest. But they need help. And we get tired, you know. We get tired over time. This battle has been going on for some, you know, for many years. But here's some great pictures of their protest. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that for you. Tara Lynn has also put in here for me an action steps. Okay, this is a call to action for all Canadians. So again, just to do something, right? We want, even if you agree with vaccines and you think they're a part of a healthy practice, still it's really important, and I'm going to show you as we go down the page why that is, but it's really important to maintain your freedom of choice. And then you can choose to have vaccines or not. So there's certain kids, there's certain conditions that, you know, really need special consideration when you're looking at vaccines. So to make it mandatory, like a shotgun approach for all children, is criminal. So you can read over this on my page, mandates, but basically it's to connect with someone, call your MLA and your member, and let them know. Your member of Legislative Assembly is your voice in government. So if they don't know you're in opposition to this, you know, it may pass. So apparently this Bill 11, again, Tara Lynn or whoever's watching here, Danny, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been postponed now until May 26th. So you still have an opportunity, if you're in New Brunswick, to speak out and connect. You can connect with Tara Lynn here or Nicole Lynn. And there's some groups and action groups and initiatives that you can take part in. Okay, the next post was just about an hour ago. This is kind of what motivated this live video, actually. The corona vaccine has many problems, right? There's children, African children now, who are being used as guinea pigs, and they have died upon injection. Again, if any of this, you want any information, send me a text, and I'd be happy to supply my resources where I get this information. But the incentive really in creating this global pandemic, so if you haven't been updated on that yet, let's see if I can put this here so it's steady. If you haven't been updated on that yet, it is a bioweapon. It's a man-made virus. It was made in a lab. When they look at it, you know, you can't have a natural virus with a protein spike on it like it was. It was man-made in a lab. If you want some resources on that, I'd ask you to look up Dr. Judy Mirkovits, Mikovits. But there's a lot of different resources for that, and I can help you with it. But the incentive really in creating this global pandemic, or they call it a plandemic, because really there was a simulation that happened. Again, you can Google this or use your Brave browser, which is what we're recommending, and your DuckDuckGo, because Google was bought out by a pharmaceutical company. And you can research this yourself, you know, Event 201. So they did a test run for this pandemic and how it would affect the world. And Bill Gates and a few other people have kind of put together not only the vaccine, but also the testing for the virus. You know, he's really making money from this all the way around. Also, there's been something put in place called pandemic bonds. So the rich of the rich could really cash in their pandemic bonds that they would have bought, you know, and this can be very feasible for them to have a pandemic. But basically, UN Agenda 2030, one world government, one economic power, and for population control. So, you know, unlikely that the population would have lined up to be willingly injected with a nanotechnology, you know, a nanobot, a tracking technology. But if you scare the masses enough with the boogeyman of the, you know, coronavirus, they probably won't ask any questions about it. They'll go get their toilet paper, put on their mask, line up for the shot. So with the 5G networks coming online, 5G, fifth generation cellular technology, it's a military systems wave. It's used in the military for crowd control. And it has a frequency of about 95 gigahertz, but anywhere from 30 to 300 gigahertz in this 5G technology. So it's used for surveillance. The smart meters that you've probably upgraded and put on your house, it connects to this grid. It's part of that whole plan. And your smart appliances, including your TV and your phone. So these microchips that they're wanting to insert, and this is an article that you can look up. This is from this YouTube, nowtheendbegins.com. Talks about this quantum dot vaccination. Really, they're putting a tattoo under your skin, and this was just a play on words, I guess, in what they're using as an enzyme that they can detect this tattoo that'll be put in a nanotechnology into the vaccine. So the reason why you'd want to not get the vaccine, not only because of the heavy metals, not only because of the aborted fetal cells that cause cancer, not only because of the glyphosate and other chemicals, but there's going to be nanotechnology, a nanobot or a microchip put in that. And again, you can look through this article and you can see references. If you want other references, again, connect with me. I'd love to help you with that. And then we come down, so this is Dr. Buttar. Carol just is clicking in here and showing me this. Oh, look, it puts the glasses on Dr. Buttar because it's scanning for a face. That's cute. Okay, so Dr. Buttar is a medical doctor who's really spoken out about what's happening with this pandemic, and I'd highly recommend any of his videos. Unlike Dr. Shiva, who was putting out a great message, of holistic health and natural immunity as a way to counteract the virus, but then he started to be very critical and not really nice with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and some of the other guys like Del Bigtree in the movement. So Dr. Shiva's not someone I'm recommending right now, but Dr. Buttar definitely. Robert Kennedy Jr. and Del Bigtree, The High Wire, are programs that I'd highly recommend. So this came out. So this is a video someone sent me today. Again, I appreciate the videos. It takes a lot of mental fortitude, really, to get through all these corrupt videos and videos of corruption, I should say. But this came out today, and it discusses the Canadian crimes against humanity. So if you want to know about the Lavalin scan and why Prime Minister Justin Trudeau gave $20 million to the Clinton Foundation, some information on the RCMP and natives, and again, how Canada and China and Bill Gates are connected, I'd encourage you to watch that video. I've also tagged on that video our local stations, so CBC and CTV and Global Halifax. And I've suggested, instead of reporting on the corona deaths as a scare tactic, really a cabal scare tactic to sell the vaccine and distract from the real world problems, it would be wise if those stations start reporting on truth, because that's what's going to support you and keep you afloat, because otherwise you're going to drown in lies. So I thank them for their public service and hoping that they will kind of rise to the occasion and publish these truths. And then I put in a question of what happened here. Apparently there was a mass shooting here in Nova Scotia a few weeks ago, and 22 people were killed. So this was an incident where a 51-year-old denturist from Dartmouth apparently, had an attack of some sort and went crazy, and over a 50-mile radius killed 22 people, 9 different locations, burned a couple of cars, burned a few houses, and wore an RCMP officer uniform, drove an RCMP officer car, and then he was killed, taken down by a SWAT team, after the 12-hour killing spree. So there's still a lot in that case that I'm not really understanding. And, you know, it looks like he was an RCMP kind of imposter some way. But there's a question if there was one shooter or many shooters, or how could one man travel that 50-mile radius in 12 hours and do all that, you know. But there's something being covered up, you know. Why are they hitting 9 different targets is really kind of strange. So anyway, you might find some information on that, and I've, you know, sort of challenged our local media to look at that. So you can see why I'm showing my page, because I don't know how long more it's going to be up here. But these are some of the pictures from that document. Mass graves of Indigenous women and children uncovered in British Columbia. And if you look up the video, it will say Trudeau subpoenaed for crimes against humanity, September the 16th, 2019. This is another screenshot from that video. And this is another screenshot. So Jeffrey Epstein, of course, you probably would know that story of his involvement in the sex slave trade and sex trafficking business, and had a plane, and, you know, when he was killed or when he died or committed suicide or whatever story you're wanting to believe, his travel log was found. And there's some important names that you'll see on that travel log. And again, this was taken from that video. And of course, it talks about the Lavalin scandal, and apparently there was a lot more than just than what met the eye. So you can have a look at that in that post. Okay, so let's move on. That was today's post. Let's go down to, and thank you. I mean, there were some great comments. Thank you, Larry, and reposted, because apparently you can't really see that link right now. I think they have already censored it. So Larry was great enough to sort of repost that link. And now on the live Facebook, I'm going to give you the name so you can look it up yourself in case it disappears. And I also connected with Dr. Randy Dolores, MLA, Andy Fulmore, which is the MP, and Tag Matt Whitman, who's part of the City Council. So when I sent out letters about kind of what's happening with the World Health Organization, and sent out information, Dr. Buttar, his London Real interview, I sent it to every MP, 11 of them, members of parliament in Nova Scotia, and all 51 MLAs. So your MLA and your MP, if you're living in Nova Scotia where I am, will already have some background on this, but they need to hear from you too. And so let's move down to, Carol sends me this. This is a movie, Plandemic movie, with Dr. Judy Merkowitz, who I just mentioned earlier. And she gives microbiology details of what's happening with this virus. But you can look up the Plandemic movie, of how it was a planned bioweapon, whether or not it escaped, you know, intentionally or not, who knows, but anyway, the information's there. And then I say, really, the next generation of cellular technology is increasing your frequency and your consciousness. So this is how we protect. This is how we protect against the negative energies that are surrounding us right now, all the corruption. And it's how we protect ourselves. We elevate our frequency to be able to withstand the frequencies that are around us in our technology. So the pineal gland is like the gateway to a higher consciousness. And there's some tips, not just in here, but tips down through the post. The Genius biofeedback system is something I featured this week. And it's something that I've been using for the last 2 years since I found out my mom had cancer. And these friends, great friends, Darren and Jeff and Joseph, posted some great other suggestions on how to open your pineal gland, decalcify and really connect with a higher self and a higher consciousness and awareness, which is, again, our greatest protection in this whole thing. And this was a post that I did yesterday. This was Terry Wade who had posted this, and I just really loved it, so I thought I would share it with you. I'm just wondering how I could get there. So you can go through my Facebook page. Even if you're not a friend, I've reached my friend Max, but you can follow me, and all the posts that I do are public, so you should be able to read them, even if you can't comment on them. And you can send me a message through healthtruth.blog if you'd like. But our human race and our DNA has been manipulated. And believe it or not, there are clones. You know, they're talking about making clones of pigs and animals, but there's already clones that exist. And I know that's going to sound strange and shocking for a lot of people, but it is the truth. And you can read about that here if you'd like. Again, just take what you can. This information is, what can I say, overwhelming, because it shakes up our paradigm, the illusion of where we've came from and what we believe. So you may not be able to digest it all at once. You might have to take a break, go away, and then come back. But copy it and paste it somewhere, because I don't know if my page is going to be up for long more. So anyway, it talks about these clones and how, they use mind control. You can look this up. MK Ultra mind control experiments that have been around since the 50s with the CIA and the government. So MK Ultra, mind control, and using experiments. So the cabal, or these dark forces, let's say, can control some of our leaders by using these technologies. And Terry talks about that in that post that I posted. So I won't go into any detail, but she does talk about the implementation of the chip, right? The microchip into everyday human beings. And here's something that'll sound familiar, right? They tell you it will make things easier, and they'll sell it to you for the convenience. But what few people don't know is it's to control your consciousness and your behavior. The chip will manipulate your emotions and behavior with the signal received through the chip by the cellular frequency, which affects the brain. This signal or frequency can send a secretion of even psychotropic substances or nanobots into your bloodstream, making you obey this external controller. I know, it sounds like, the movie The Matrix, right? I mean, it sounds really odd, really strange, kind of scary, but it's scarier not to know these things. So besides manipulating behaviors, we can see the signal is sent in a frequency. It can cause diseases such as cancers or even death. So again, refuse the chip at all costs. Most people probably will, unless it's been slipped into a shot and you have not asked to see all the ingredients and know what the side effect is. They will just scare you into having it. So again, the smartphones are also being used for manipulation. If you don't know this already, you can be observed, right, through the camera of your phone or through the camera of your computer. It emits specific frequencies that match the brainwave patterns, and within a certain radius or frequency, you can almost be kind of like brainwashed. Now, we've seen a sample of that, right, with the whole corona scare. So if you're susceptible, you probably went out and filled up your cupboards with toilet paper without even asking why. Right? Because the coronavirus is a respiratory virus. So why you would need toilet paper for a respiratory virus was a test. It was a test for these forces to see how many people were plugged in to that mindset. And the only way this pandemic could succeed is if they had you under their ultimate control. Buy toilet paper, wear a mask, come for your vaccine injection. Yes, master, we will. So again, this is evident in our society. It's already here. We're already being programmed, whether you see it or not. So I'm just thinking that if you can't kind of pull away from it right now, it will get worse. So turn off your TV. Mainstream is feeding you shit right now. They're not giving you the truth, and they're scaring you. So I'm going to scan down to another statistic in just a second. Actually, I'll come down now. So at these specific frequencies, that's why they call it TV programming, because it programs you. And I mentioned this in a video I did before, the Super Time, the Super Bowl, Super Time, yeah. The Super Bowl halftime show was of kids in cages on stages, you know, as entertainment, and we were applauding this. Did anyone else find that a little odd, you know, a little strange? Again, it's a programming, right? These cabal or these dark and corrupt forces are involved in these child sex slavery. In fact, they have taken over, you know, a number of 100 years, some of the military bases, and Terry talks about this here. They're called DUMBs, or deep underground military bases, where they do these experiments, and they hold kids, and they even harvest kids for sex slavery and things. Again, I know this is hard to hear. I'm sorry, I hate to be this messenger. I really do. I hate hearing it for myself. But if we don't look at this, the only way we can expose this darkness is to bring more light onto the subject. So we need to refuse anything that has a chip in it. You know, even if you can go back to wired technology instead of your Wi-Fi, if you can, you know, avoid upgrades in your smart technologies, like your smart meter, go back to the regular meter where you have a meter reader come out. You don't need to kind of send that data over a Wi-Fi. So there's certain, you know, simple things that you can do to protect yourself, and the most important thing is just to be informed. Don't take anyone's word that anything is safe. And anytime I see the word mandatory upgrade of a smart meter, mandatory vaccine, mandatory this and that, that makes me very nervous. And it should you too. And you should want to kind of investigate, why is it mandatory? Why are they making this? Graham says genetic engineering. Yes, there's a lot of people walking out around there, Graham, that have wires in them that are controlled, you know, with microchips in parts of their body, doing crazy, crazy things. So, yeah, so we want to, again, avoid the microchip. Keep your frequency as high as possible, really, to keep these negative energies from entering your experience. And again, turning off the TV, turning off the technologies that try to program you. Because these elite, they want to alter your consciousness through frequency. So if you keep your frequency high and your vibration, which is what I mentioned earlier about opening your pineal gland and increasing your consciousness, your vibration or your energy. And again, the Genius Biofeedback System is, again, something else I'd suggest to you. I feel like it's a great healing tool for us as we come into this next age of Aquarius. The 5G technology, as I mentioned, Military Systems Wave, there is a petition that you can sign. I have a video of being on the phone with Rogers that's rolling out this 5G technology in Canada right now as we speak. It's happening in Toronto, and then it's going to roll across the country. Challenge it, you know, challenge. They do not have any doctors on staff at Rogers. No one has said it's safe except for the World Health Organization, Health Canada, which we know are a part of that circle of corruption. So unless they can prove it's safe, they shouldn't really be able to roll out this technology, right? So it's something that you need to challenge. Challenge it with your city first to make sure it's not happening. Challenge with your school. I actually connected with my son's high school, and I said, if this technology is installed without my permission, I will take legal action. I will connect with my personal injuries lawyer, and I will take legal action if this is installed without my permission. So you need to do that too. And, you know, I really appreciate all the thanks. People will call or send a message and say, thank you for what you're doing. But I'm only one person, right? And CBC has posted many articles about me. If you look up Dina Churchill, Google Dina Churchill chiropractor, you'll see, you know, I'm a quack, and I'm, you know, mentally unstable, and they have all sorts of names for me. So if it's just me alone doing all this, you know, I'm discredited. So I need you to be part of the team. We all need to kind of work together. This is how we're going to shift the paradigm. So I appreciate your thanks, but the best way you can thank me is really to help yourself. This was a video I was trying, so this was a great documentary too, the truth about vaccines 2020, and they had some great people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., like Dr. Buttar, like Judy Merkovits, Dr. Andrew Wakefield, Dr. Sherry Tenpenny, which is excellent, and Del Bigtree. So some of the excellent speakers and what should we say, activists, heroes really in the movement that have put themselves out there, that have given up their careers, that have sacrificed themselves, that have put their lives and livelihood on the line for you. And if you think that I'm kidding, you know, there's many. Tony Bark is one of the doctors who, you know, had an early passing. Jeannie Ohm, Nicholas Gonzalez, Andrew Moulton, all these people died quickly. And there's, you know, some people that suggest that some of these holistic healers, Aaron at Health Nut News wrote an article about this. 90 holistic doctors died within, I don't know, a year period or 2-year period. Unexplained deaths. So these people are putting themselves out there for you. So lend them your ears. Any questions so far, Margaret? Vibration technology, so needed? Yes, to combat the 5G. That's it. That's our only defense, Margaret. Tara Lynn, Event 202. Yes, I have that down on my page. Thank you for mentioning that. That was another YouTube video. Great. So we'll come down and see what else we have. So this was also a video that I put on YouTube because I thought I might lose it. Oh, wow, Dr. Tam looks good with those glasses and hat on. But there's some connection that, you know, Dr. Tam may have with China. Actually, I just got an article on that today. If somebody has it, they can post it there. But she has... she wants to keep us locked down and in our homes until there's a vaccine available. This was, again, the live stream with David Icke and Brian Rose, and that was with London Real. Again, another, you can subscribe. I've subscribed to it, so anytime they have a new speaker, then you can go on and they'll give you an email so you'll know about this. This was awesome. This was a video somebody sent to me, so we have, it was footage from Joshua Coleman, you know, these military people standing. It was just such an inspiring video. And this Army veteran, Marine veteran, really gets up and gives them a speech about what truth and justice. I get choked up even talking about it. There's Joshua Coleman. He donated the graphics to our signs that we used to protest in New Brunswick. So he's a great... activist in the movement. He's got into this because he's a father of a vaccine-injured child. But that there's the guy, the Marine vet, and he just really reframes what justice is. And these military men back down. You know, it's so heartwarming and inspiring. So if you haven't seen that video, I'd encourage you to have a look at that one too. And that's some of the others there. We have the video that I did down the page where I showed some of the other videos. The petition that we have here, lifting the lockdown, because really the lockdown is just to keep us in our homes. And well, I should mention about that. It is to keep us in our homes. But I do think there's an underlying movement happening. And that's part of this elite pedophile corruption circle being broken. And many of our celebrities are actually under house arrest right now. There's children that have been freed from the tunnels in New York City. And these tunnels are part of these DUMBs, right? These deep underground military bases. But they're not just in New York City. They're in Canada too. They're all over the world. So as we're flushing out these people and the celebrities, they have strange addictions to things like adrenochrome, which they harvest from human blood. So part of being locked down is really for our own protection right now. I don't know a lot of information on that, but I'm hoping to have someone, Karen McDonald, come and talk about that later in the week on a Facebook Live. So be informed and just try to keep your vibration high. Refuse anything that's injected into you with a nanobot or a microchip. This is another Facebook video, and this was a picture from that video. Was again I call it the circle of corruption, and I mentioned this earlier. I mean, it's not only Bill and Melinda Gates, but there's a lot of other organizations, like the World Health Organization had a mandate in 1973 to use vaccinations for depopulation. And then we have the vaccine companies, who again were given indemnity from any injury or death in 1986. The Telecom Act, which was in 1996, that absolved cellular companies of any injury or death. And then finally, the Monsanto Act in 2013, put forward by Obama, protects Monsanto against any liability for death or disease, injury from the genetically modified foods. So you can see that these big companies really have their asses covered by actually instituting government rules to protect them, right? So this is what's happening in essence in New Brunswick, and what we went through here in Nova Scotia with our legislature too, is that in mandating the vaccines, it's big money for these companies. They're not looking about the children's individual health. They're looking how they can make the most money in this circle. And you'll see that, again, the World Health Organization, they implement, implement rules into government. So if they can create an act to protect themselves, the vaccine company, they can protect, put in an act to protect the Monsanto, then these acts and bills in government are for the vaccine companies. They're not for your children's health, right? The government's not interested in protecting your kids' health. Otherwise, they wouldn't be mandating an injection where there's no safety studies. There are no double-blind, placebo-controlled safety studies for any of the vaccines. Yes, they're tested against one another. But if you ask your medical doctor to pull out the vaccine insert, which is like a monogram, it's like an ingredients list into your vaccine, and ask to see the ingredients and ask to know the side effects, these are really important things, because if you were given a medication, they would tell you, what the side effects, what you might expect, any contraindications. Your medical provider has to tell you that in order to maintain their liability insurance. So they are liable to, first off, give you any side effects, and also to give you options and opportunities, and an opportunity to answer any questions. And ultimately, anybody that's injecting you has to give you choice. Now, if you willingly roll up your sleeve, somebody says to me, I had a mother say, how do I say I don't want it? You just say, no, thank you. Oh, I'm afraid of them getting mad at me. Well, what would you be more afraid of? Your doctor getting mad, because they don't know the answer to your question, or to inject your child with some heavy metals and chemicals that are going to cause death and disease? So I would say to all mothers, you have to put your priorities in order. You've got to stand up for your kids, right? You have to kind of want what's best for them, not trust in a white coat that doesn't know any more about that vaccine than you do. Right? And they don't. You can talk, Dr. Boutard, you can talk to Dr. Merkovitz, you can talk to some of the other medical doctors. You can, in fact, okay, I tell this story all the time, but I'm going to tell it again. Hold on, God protect you and keep you with angels. Thank you. I hope those angels are here on earth and not in heaven. And thank you. So my medical doctor, when my kids were small, my kids are older now, 18 and 22. I said, can you give me some of the research? Wait, no, maybe I can turn this around for a moment, and then I'll come back. Just so keep it, oh, wait, no, wrong way. Let's see if I can turn this around. Okay, here we go, back. With I can't figure out how to take this mask off, so I'm gonna be the masked bandit for today. But when my kids were small, I went to my medical doctor, and I had all the information on vaccines that I had read. Now, as a chiropractor, it wasn't really part of my chiropractic training, right? We didn't learn about vaccines. We were taught that the immune system and natural immunity was the way to handle any of these outside pathogens, that if you maintain natural immunity, you're strong and healthy. So the whole idea of having to inject chemicals in order to keep my baby well didn't make sense. So I had to research it. So I went into my doctor with a pile of books and articles, and I said, can you please look at this? Because if I really attend to all this science, this literature, then I can't vaccinate, because there's no double-blind studies and there's severe side effects. you know, autism, learning disabilities, allergies, food sensitivities, asthma, eczema, you know, and the list goes on and on. And she pushed the books over the desk, and she said, I can't really look at that, because if I look at this and try to debate this with you, it means what I'm doing to kids every day is harmful, and I can't go there. Her own conscience wouldn't allow her to look into that information. So we agreed to disagree, and then I went to the next layer of government, the College of Physicians and Surgeons, and asked for the same safety studies. And then there was no response, no one could provide. Then I went to the health minister, the provincial health minister, then the federal health minister, then the Prime Minister of Canada. And nowhere along that path are there any safety studies. So if somebody tells you vaccines are safe, they're lying because they don't know, right? So this is the scam. This is why they can scam you. This is why they've programmed you. For 100 years, we've believed that vaccines are part of the health program. Well, I get polio. No, actually, polio is causing some of the outbreaks. You know, oh, I'm going to be in an iron lung. A lot of those iron lung cases were either caused from the vaccine or the DDT or in diagnostic problems. So if you don't know, if you haven't researched it, don't listen to what you've been told, because it's a lie. Okay, so any questions on that? I've got to go. Said no to vaccines. Great, said no to vaccines. Yes, it's easy, right? Simone, you just say, no, thank you. He doesn't want any. But what they're doing now, and I stayed quiet about this, right, for 20 years. I wasn't as vocal about it until they wanted to mandate it. While they are allowing me free choice, I tried to educate my friends and family the best I could with the information I had. But it was free choice. And I still believe in free choice. If you want to give your kid 70 different doses by the time they're 16 years old of chemicals that include all sorts of weird ingredients, that's fine. If you want to do that, great. I don't. So what I'm asking my government to do, and what they're asking the government to do in New Brunswick, Canada, is to give them choice. So again, if you're home and watching this and you haven't connected with your MLA or your member in parliament, then I will go as far to say as you don't care about your kids, because ignorance is no defense. I mean, we are on the battlefield right now, and we need every voice. We need every mother, every parent needs to stand up for your kids. You can't have, I don't know how many were there, Terralyn, I don't know if you're still here, but how many people were out there protesting with you? You know, a dozen? How many was the population of New Brunswick? Why is there only 12 people out there on the steps, out in the front of the steps on the legislature? Do you realize you only have a week to shift opinion, or all your kids are going to have those shots before they go to school? I mean, it's madness. So wake up, get out there. Find Terralyn, and I don't know who the other lady was, Nicole, Lynn maybe, and, support them, really. Get on the government of New Brunswick and show them that this is corruption. This is a criminal. This is a crime against our humanity and against our kids. So make a change. Now let's get back. 65 people. Oh, that's great, Terralyn. Okay, but still, I mean, when you look at the population of New Brunswick, there could be a lot more people out there. Okay, let's get back. I don't know if you have anything that you want to talk about, Terralyn, or any links that you want to add, because this is coming up for New Brunswick on the 26th of May. This was a great video by a pastor, Danny Jones, and he really he's got all the players, all the key players. He knows about the corruption. He knows about the microchips. This was an amazing video. So again, if you need to look at how George Soros and Bill Gates and Fossey and the United Nations and the chipping, how it's all part of the plan, here's another resource for you, a pastor. So, and then we talked about Costco, and what we found is that, Costco, it's so funny, Costco is putting on this, a directive that everyone will need to wear masks, protective face coverings. So as our restrictions are lessening, we're allowed to open our parks and we're allowed to go out now. It's funny that Costco is increasing, but then we found that Bill Gates was on the board of directors of Costco. So they have to kind of wear these masks, you see, because the masks add to the scariness of it. right? The media publishes all the deaths, which are 2,200. Any given year, there's 8,500 due to flu. So really, it's minimal. But the media has like pumped it up to be something so scary that nobody can go out without a mask on. You know, it's just unbelievable. In fact, the video I did from Costco parking lot, it was on Facebook and YouTube. I think that's been taken down. So again, you can see, right? If you don't collect these things, Concrete Marshmallow was a great poem. This is what I wanted to go over again. This was a wonderful doctor that I'd met this week, and his name is Dr. Ahmad Gurgas, and he's a medical doctor with a double specialty, MD Family Medicine and Epidemiology, and he's also a surgeon in an Ontario hospital, and he has this great YouTube video. I hope it's still up. The link looks like it's still active, but he talks about this in that video. Oh, he looks good with the glasses and hat on too, doesn't he? Oh, we have to find the humor in all this, right? We have to find some humor, otherwise it seems pretty depressing. But he talks about the deaths and, again, how the media is playing it up, right? 80,000 deaths of cancer, 53,000 of heart disease, 13,000 accidents, 8,500 flu, and then bacteria, suicides are 3,800, and then right now COVID-19 is 2,200. So here's why we've closed down the country. Not because of cancer, because cancer makes too much money. We have closed it down because of this lab-made, planned virus. So anyway, if you want another resource to understand why the media is lying to you, why masks are really not that important, this guy says he had 2 COVID cases. This way, the hospitals, right? The media, the bodies are lined up, right? They have body bags lined up, and they're overwhelmed with, patients. It's a lie. This guy says there's 2 COVID cases at his hospital, and both are likely to recover. So you can go look at that. This other post, I'm going to go over this one again too. There's many that are fooled by President Trump's, crude and rude demeanor, but his accomplishments against the global corrupt network are pretty amazing. And when you think about now and look back at the corruption with Justin Trudeau, you'll understand why there's a bit of friction maybe between them. I just pray for his long, healthy life until this so he can continue with this global service. But so what did he do so far? Took out the Federal Reserve. So he's now the chairman of the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve was a corrupt organization that was lending money to our governments and charging them an arm and leg, like real loan sharks, really, from this small group of privatized bankers that were really making a lot of money on our suffering. And then we needed to bankrupt holding powers like the World Health Organization. So President Trump has defunded the World Health Organization. Remember that circle of corruption I showed you before? So I hope Justin Trudeau, maybe before he gets arrested, could stop the Canadian funding to that corrupt organization too. Balancing the economy, because the old rich guys now and the polluting energies, oil and gas, really aren't very happy about the oil price dropping to below $1 a barrel. And I've heard that President Trump is also looking at some free energy technologies, the Tesla energy, free energy. So that's something to kind of look forward to in the future. And again, he's made alliance with different countries, cleaning out the swamp of the pedophile elite and the sex trafficked celebrities. You'll see this coming out more and more. And I think the travel log of Jeffrey Epstein was part of that. I'm looking for a place I can put my phone. Doesn't keep it still. And also, what I love most is that he calls out the media, the CNN, which is a lie. They created this whole 9/11 scam. They had you believe that it was a terrorist attack from another country when it was an internal thing. If you don't believe me on that, again, you can research it. That's why President Trump wanted to investigate, reopen the case of 9/11. Why do you think he wanted to reopen it if there wasn't something fishy going on, right? So if you look up, God rest his soul, Tom Petty, Free Falling, it'll give you kind of just a quick little song to describe what happened with that. And the cabal, again, we're just checking to see how many were plugged into the media. with the whole, like I said, toilet paper mind control trick that I mentioned. So, and then there's little Greta. I don't know how to turn off that mask, so she has to have the mask on. But Greta Thunberg, really, God love her, there she is, working for the scams of the cabal. First, it was kind of the climate change to support the chemtrails, right? They had to establish that there was a problem scary enough to allow you to pump chemicals in the sky. And last spring, Bill Gates started trials to, I know this is going to sound strange, but to block the sun. Now, any 3-year-old will know if you block the sun, it's probably not going to be a good thing for planetary life. But that was the plan in place, and they had to get you to buy into the whole idea of climate change, just like they have to get you to buy into the whole scam of this corona dangerous virus that's going to take out the world in order for you to be microchipped and get your vaccine. The other thing about this is that a lot of these elite groups are also into child sex trafficking. So I really am sincere in saying my prayers for Greta, because they're using her as a mouthpiece, a little child. And here's the High Wire with Del Bigtree. Again, you can sign up for this. So it's a weekly show. It happens on Thursdays, happens 3 o'clock here in Atlantic, Canada. But I've learned so much from that show. And here's the event, Terlin, that you were talking about, Event 202. So this is on YouTube. Event 201 was the plandemic, was the plan where they created like a mock of what would happen if they carried through this pandemic. So these group of amazing individuals got together and did this Event 202. It's a live YouTube, so I'd highly recommend this. And they don't only talk about the corona, they talk about 5G on that event. They talk about the chemtrails, geoengineering. They talk about sex trafficking. They talk about other dark rituals. They talk about the predictive programming. So the TVs, the smart things, the energies that they use to program you. And again, of course, the COVID pandemic is talked about there. But that's a good one. That really gives you a good overview of what's happening in the world. So there's a lot of other things there, but through the Facebook page, but you can go through yourself. Let me see if I can turn this around again. You can go through yourself and collect any data, collect any information that you feel is good. Again, because I'm just buying my time, waiting to, have some Facebook. I'm having some issues with my Facebook camera, and from time to time I can't get into my program. So again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this was motivated after speaking with and seeing Erin at Health Nut News, Erin Elizabeth's post about her page going down and Larry's Facebook Live being cut off. So I think I'm still live, so they haven't, but my YouTube has been, the video I did at Costco parking lot's blocked. I know Dr. Boutard's video, he had 9 million views or something in a video, and they took it down. And then there was a Dr. Erickson who was featured on the High Wire show. He was in Bakersfield, California, and he was another doctor that came out and said, hey, this is crazy. We don't need to keep people locked down in their house. This virus is not what we thought it was. We made a mistake and we need to correct it. Boom! His video was taken down off YouTube. So this censorship is a very real thing. And again, I'm preparing you by giving you these resources so you can follow it yourself. What else do I want to talk about? Just to reinforce that Canadian directive. Okay, so the information that's there, you see how I tagged our media? I also tag them in letters that I write to the MLAs, that I write to the members of parliament. So ignorance is not going to be their defense. You see, we have to keep our leaders accountable. We have to keep them transparent. So that's why I'm not trying to hurt anyone when I do that. I'm just wanting them to speak up because they're our voice in government. And if they're not speaking up for your rights, there's a problem. We either have to take them out, and I don't mean take them out, I mean we have to vote them out of power and bring somebody in that's working for your best interest. But again, ignorance is not a defense. So every MP and every MLA in Nova Scotia has had some of this information about the corruption in the World Health Organization. Has every MP and every MLA in your province got that information? If not, you're not doing your job. You see, us here on the front lines, people that have put themselves out there. I mean, I've been doing this for 20 years because my oldest child's 21. But I've been speaking about it more in the last couple of years. I surrendered my chiropractic license. I gave up my livelihood to speak these truths for us, for our families, for our kids, for our next generation. So I would just ask you, what are you doing to help? And I spoke with a Newfoundland mother this week, and she was sort of, feeling kind of down, as we all do. We have to take a break, we have to go away, do some things that we love, come back into this kind of corrupt environment. And so I advised her to go make love to her husband and play with her kids and come back when she felt kind of supported. But we get tired. And what happens if we put a few people out front, right? Like the Tony Barks and the Jeannie Ohms and the, Andrew. So this is another thing you can look up. Andrew Moulton and Nicholas Gonzalez. They were studying an enzyme called nagalase, Nagalase. Look up that. Researchers studying nagalase. And you'll see that a lot of them were killed. So if we put researchers or people just out front by themselves, it's easy for the cabal, the people that are making money from the vaccines and the pharmaceuticals, to take them out. But if we're moving forward like in a war and we're advancing as a team, it's harder to take us out. We gain ground, we take back our land and our freedom. So instead of 65 people being there at the legislature, there needs to be 600. There needs to be 6,000 people there to make sure your government in New Brunswick knows that you don't want this. Right? You do not want the Constitution of Canada challenged in that bill. If there's only 65 people, they don't think it's a real issue for you, New Brunswick people, right? So it's not the time to be scared. Now is the time you want to speak up for your kids. Because if this bill passes and every child in New Brunswick has to have 70 shots before they're 16 and has to have all these shots before, it's no time to cry then. It's already gone through government legislation. There'll be another bill, just like the vaccine bill in 1986, just like the telecom bill in 1996, just like the Monsanto Act in 2013. It'll be just a statistic. You'll just be falling for that corruption and you'll be allowing those lies to precipitate. So connect with Tara Lynn or Nicole and make a stand. You only got a week, I think, or a couple of weeks. 26 is when they've made that final bill. Really go out there and let your government know you're not going to stand for that. So it's advancing again as a team. You need to help us help you by being there to support the cause. And there'll be Tara Lynn, and there'll be people out there, Melanie and Stephanie, and there'll be people out there at the front that can be the spokespeople, but they need backup. So you're their backup in New Brunswick. And the same thing needs to happen in every province. So again, if you haven't connected with me here locally, we have a local group, Informed Consent Nova Scotia. There's an Informed Consent New Brunswick. There's an Informed Consent Alberta. There's an Informed Consent Manitoba. There's a BC Informed Consent. Every province has a group of individuals who are working for this cause, who are working for medical freedom and health for your kids. So connect with them. And they have initiatives in place. They have the addresses already of the MLAs. They even have like templates that you can send out letters. So connect with them. Any questions? Anything that I've forgotten? Foul, fraud, silenced, banning YouTubers? Yes. Freedom of speech, mutual live, the rally. Sounds like you have loads of relevant information. Please answer some of my queries. Yes, Ahmed, what queries do you have? Sorry, I can't talk and read at the same time, but I'm right here now. So if you have any queries, just pop them up there. Francine, so important to stay connected to our humanity through peaceful mantra and gratitude in our heart. Yes, and that is, it's heart space, right? It's love for our kids that's pushing this forward. Right? We have to kind of stand up for ourselves. Somebody said, we need to pray. We do. We need to pray and we need to be thankful to God. But God gave us a voice, right? God gave us a voice. He gave us free will to choose. In fact, this is a good time for a few quotes while I'm waiting for Ahmed to put his questions up there. Civil disobedience becomes a sacred duty when the state becomes lawless or corrupt. That was Gandhi. A moral life may be lived either to satisfy divine or to satisfy people in this world. A moral life is a life to satisfy divine, is more of a spiritual life. That was Emanuel Swedenborg. and then Proverbs. Let's see if there's any other questions. Ahmed, I'm still waiting for your question. I'll check back. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. So what are some of the fears? Some of the fears, one Facebook friend from New Brunswick said she was afraid of what her family and her friends would think. But when she did her post of how she felt about this Bill 11 in New Brunswick, I felt like she got a lot of support. So when you shine your light bright, when you hold up your torch, when you put on display who you are, you gather the tribe of people that are similar to you. So I've had many people, very good friends and colleagues, say, please don't tag me in that post, or please don't, send me information. And I just had to kind of disconnect myself. I'm really focusing now on those people that want to make a difference, those people that are going to take that inspired action, that are going to fight for their kids. These are the people that inspire me. And if you're not wanting to, you're either part of the solution in speaking up, or by being silent, you're part of the problem right now. You're part of the problem if you're silent about this corruption that's happening in our world. Ahmed, 65 more coming down the pipeline. They plan on constantly vaccinating us with poisons. Yes. Oh, I didn't show you that, but there was a tweet from, thank you for that. There was a tweet from Bill Gates saying that he's working on 100 different patents for a corona vaccine. So that's coming down the pipeline. Yeah, thank you for that, Paul. I missed Ahmed's question, but I guess you answered it. Will you write those references to where to send those requests? Which request, Francine? So every province has a group, has an informed consent group. And it's not just, mostly, it was developed because the government was wanting to put in these mandatory vaccines, but, mandatory 5G technologies, mandatory smart meters. It expands out. We as people have a right, a freedom, and a right to be informed, and informed consent. We can't consent to something when we don't know what the side effects are. So if you haven't asked for what the side effects of a vaccine, we all know any medication has a side effect, right? Anything that you put in your body has a side. Why are vaccines any different? Any medication that causes any illness or disease or death is taken off the market. Why are vaccines different? Why are they exempt from any liability? So these are things that we need to ask. And I've said somebody's kids gets ill and the doctor recommends a vaccine. Should he start arguing? Let's see. And asking for safety studies. I don't think it's an argument. I didn't have an argument with my family doctor. I just said, could I please see the safety studies? And that's not an argument. That is an honorable request. And, I've heard stories where there's more confrontation. And I'm angry and upset now because I'm trying to kind of impassion you with the message that I'm saying. But when I'm speaking to a medical professional, throughout my term, or whether it was a health nurse, public health nurse, or whoever it was, I'm just approaching them heart to heart. I'm just saying, I am a concerned mother. I really want what's best for my children. Can you please give me the security that these are safe? Will you sign a consent form that I can hold you liable if there's an injury? Right? And if you can have that kind of connection, that heart-to-heart connection, it's not an argument. It's a conversation. I know in New Brunswick, it's Dominic Carty. Yes. So Minister Dominic Carty is the Minister of Education, and he is the person that put forward this crazy bill. So it's not supported by the Minister of Health. So, in fact, in the New Brunswick legislature, when they had the review back in August, myself and a few other people from Nova Scotia were there, and the Minister of Health really couldn't support the idea of mandatory vaccines, and she couldn't say that if you have this mandatory vaccine, then perhaps we wouldn't have the measles outbreak. She couldn't see that, she couldn't confirm that. So, in fact, many of the studies show that the actual vaccines, the measles strand in the vaccine was causing many of the outbreaks. So, when the measles and the mumps scare and the polio scare, when they found that the vaccine was actually causing the outbreaks, that really didn't work to convince the public. So this coronavirus, came up as a way to, suck everybody into the whole vaccine scam. Okay, yes, doing this. great. Sugar has an effect. Sugar has an effect. So I can take that two ways. Yes, being nice, you know, and being heartfelt in your address to somebody gives them the opportunity to reply with the same respect. And eating sugar creates inflammation in your body. So I don't know what effect you were talking about there, Francine, but okay, good. So I'm going to have to sign out because my battery is going. Any other questions? Thank you. How do you describe COVID-19 in 2 words, doctor? I can describe it in 1. Scamdemic. 2, plandemic is COVID-19. So yes, there is a virus, but it was made in the lab. And the intention was, again, to create fear so everyone would line up for the vaccine. And the vaccine has all sorts of different chemicals in it. And the nanochip technology is part of it. So say no to anything that's injected or ingested, meaning anything that you put in your body will have an effect. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Francine. That's exactly it. Anything you put in your body will have an effect. So a vaccine's no different. Conspiracy. Yeah, there we go. So thank you everyone for watching. If you do have any questions for me, healthtruth.blog. Again, if I happen to disappear from here, and if I happen to disappear off the planet, you know it was planned because I tend to stay here for a while yet, right? And I just want to thank you for all your thank yous. Thank you for sharing your information. But remember, the best way you can thank me is to help yourself. Right, is to join the forces, join arms and hands, because we advance together in this movement of being a informed parent and speaking up for the rights of your kids. If you're in New Brunswick, Canada, they really need you right now. They need you to talk to your MLA, look back at my Facebook page, and that call to action for all Canadians is applicable in every province, but especially in New Brunswick, where the government's making a call on this Bill 11, which really conflicts with our Canadian Charter of Rights and Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And if they get it in one province, it can filter out. And if they've set a precedence, it'll be easier to kind of filter out. And this is important. We should have the right to choose what goes in our body. So again, even if you're for vaccines, that's fine, but allow the choice. Because it has vast implications, not just for vaccines, but for organ donation, for euthanasia. Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto now is giving the doctor the right to, euthanize a child without the parent's consent. So we always want to maintain freedom of choice, freedom of expression, our medical freedom at all costs. I believe everything you've said on the video, all previous ones. Yes, I kind of repeat myself because I'm thinking, maybe I can reach somebody different. Some days I think, what am I doing this for? How can I inspire? Because people get very angry when you suggest this, right? Some nurses, some doctors, some people, you're a quack, you're not a real doctor, I'm just sharing the information. I'm just the messenger. And I'm really trying to empower you to look at the information for yourself. Because any one of us can kind of, like I said, disappear. But you have to be empowered and responsible for your kids. So call for action. Yes, call for action. Now we're in action. So I want to thank you for being here. And there is a nurse in the UK, Nurse Kate, who leaves off her YouTube, her video presentations, Facebook presentations with the Lord's Prayer. And I think I would like to do that. Even if you're not Christian, you don't believe in religion, you don't believe in God, I believe that there's a higher power that's guiding all this. And I think in order to step out of our own fears and our own doubts and our own turmoil and emotions about this, we have to kind of attach to a higher power and believe that it's guiding us through this, right? So, if you want to join me in the Lord's Prayer, I don't know how to take off these glasses, so I'm going to have to be a masked bandit with the Lord's Prayer. But Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I would invite you to reach for the stars, envision and achieve your personal best, and most of all, enjoy the journey. This is Dr. Dina Churchill signing out.